Getting a great gaming laptop, i.e. one that can handle the most demanding titles, often means buying a big and bulky machine. Even though they are getting slimmer and lighter, they still have gigantic screens on them a lot of the time. But what if you want something smaller and more portable that still can handle all your favourite AAA titles? That's where the Asus ROG Zephyrus G14 comes in. I'm Cam Bunton from Pocket-lint, and this is our review. And if you do like this video, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe and tap the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any more. The ROG Zephyrus G14's design is undoubtedly one of the things that attracts us the most about this laptop. Compared to the 15 or 17 inch machines of the world, the 14 inch G14 is compact. It'll fit in your bag without much effort and sits neatly on your lap without commanding too much space. What's more, our review unit has a lovely matte white finish that just looks great, especially when contrasted against the skinny black bezel that frames the display. It doesn't just look good either, it feels good. The white finish is soft rather than being a cold metallic feel. It's warm too, which during colder periods is great, but we suspect that for those who like gaming using a keyboard, it might get a little bit too warm for comfort during prolonged periods. There are a couple of other design highlights too. One of those is the hinge, which allows the display to pivot all the way back until it's lying flat on whatever surface it's sat on. Due to the way the hinge and the lid have been designed, it also lifts the laptop off the surface, allowing air to pass underneath to help with cooling. What's interesting here is that there is a metal plate on the underside of the machine that's designed to help with the cooling systems. It works alongside the fans and the large vapor chamber to keep it running smoothly. It does get quite hot under there when plugged in during gameplay, so it's probably not something you want on your lap for longer periods of time, particularly not on warmer days. However, if you're using it unplugged and just using it for work, it rarely gets warm enough to cause any discomfort. One other eye-catching detail is the array of LEDs on the laptop cover. There are over 1,400 of them, and they light up in patterns and animations. It's probably the one obvious sign that this is indeed a gaming laptop, but if you want to, you can just switch it off. So what about other practicalities? Well, there's a 720p webcam built into the top bezel. It's not the best for video calling, but it is equipped with IR, which means you can use Windows Hello facial recognition. It makes signing into your laptop really quick and easy. Now moving on briefly to the keyboard and the trackpad, and it's no exaggeration to say that the keyboard on this thing is one of the nicest to type on that I've used. It's certainly one of the nicest laptop keyboards currently on the market. It's got that right balance of key travel, feedback and responsiveness to make it really easy and quick to type on or game on. There's no learning curve for touch typing really, regardless of what you're used to. It's well positioned too and is relatively central in relation to its positioning alongside the huge trackpad beneath it. That means we didn't ever find we were accidentally touching or activating that touchpad when typing. That's despite the fact that it is impressively large. Plus the keyboard's got one zone RGB backlighting. In comparison to some of the fancier, brighter keyboard systems, it's quite dim and subtle, but dim and subtle is not necessarily a bad thing. It certainly doesn't draw too much attention to itself, for starters. The trackpad itself is a joy to use as well, thanks to the size and the responsiveness. We found it great for just about everything. The combination of surface area and quick response meant it was ideal for multi-touch gestures like pinching to zoom and multiple digit swiping. Now, we have no doubt that serious gamers would probably still rather use an additional mouse for gaming or an external wireless controller. This keyboard and trackpad combination, however, means it's a genuinely brilliant tool for accomplishing everyday tasks. So, what ports does it have? Well, almost all of them. There are two USB 3.2 Type A ports, two USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C ports, and both with DisplayPort functionality, and one of those has power delivery too, up to 100 watts. There's a 3.5mm input and output for audio, plus a microSD card reader, and an HDMI 2.0 B port, which is full size, and a proprietary power port. Sadly, no full-sized SD card slot, but we can maybe forgive them for that. Now moving on to display, and while the display is primarily primed and ready for gaming, just like a lot of the G14's other elements, it's also great for other tasks. Being 2560 by 1600 means that although it's not 4K, it's certainly sharp enough for pretty much anything. Being just 14 inches diagonally means pixels are packed in quite densely and give the appearance of a screen that's really quite crisp. And that's not all that makes it an impressive display though. With 500 nits peak brightness and Dolby Vision certification, it's bright and vibrant too. It's an IPS panel, so viewing angles are great as well. Combine that impressive IPS panel with an anti-glare surface and you have a display that's great to look at regardless of the light levels around you or what you might be using it for or which angle you're looking at it from. Colours are lively and vibrant without seeming too oversaturated. That makes it more than suitable for video watching and media consumption. Add to the display an array of 6 speakers and you have a pretty immersive media experience all told. These speakers provide plenty of volume and clarity. And while they do technically support Dolby Atmos, in a machine this small we're not talking about that full room-filling surround sound effect, but you still get more of an immersive feel than you might from a bog-standard pair of stereo speakers. And they're certainly loud enough too, and they generally cut over the noise of the fans as well, unless the laptop's in its turbo mode and going great guns with the fans to keep itself cool, which we didn't use all that often. Now moving on to power and performance, and there are various configurations of the ROG G14, but all of them are AMD powered, with various combinations of Ryzen 9 CPU and Radeon RX graphics. Our own review unit features the Ryzen 6900 HS CPU and a Radeon RX 6800S graphics card. It places it pretty high up the food chain when it comes to raw power and performance, and is also equipped with 32GB of RAM. It's no surprise then that it'll happily get on with the job when asked to tackle some of the more demanding games, even whether they're recent or old ones. For the most part, Forza Horizon 5 looked and responded great on the G14. Graphics remained crisp and sharp with the maximum resolution enabled. With frames per second on constant view, we rarely saw it drop below 55 frames per second, and was usually somewhere between 55 and 60, and this was in performance mode with the power plugged in. Animation remained smooth almost the entire time, with only a slight frame drop occurring rarely, and usually only when we'd accidentally left some other program running in the background. We played a host of titles on it, from the likes of the aforementioned FH5, Rise of the Tomb Raider, indie titles like Firewatch and Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, plus a bit of time with an old favourite, Portal 2. When it comes to benchmarks, the G14 performs well too. With the laptop plugged in and set to performance mode, Cinebench R23 returned multi-core results that were higher than the Intel Core i9. It delivered a multi-core score over 11,600 for us, with a single-core score similarly high and comfortably over 1,000 points, around the 1,400 point mark. In the built-in benchmark mode in Forza Horizon 5 with the resolution set at Full HD, the G14 hit around 75 frames per second consistently, and with the resolution set to maximum for the display, it was around 55 frames per second. We got similar results with Rise of the Tomb Raider's Benchmark 2, with an average of nearly 72 frames per second across the 3 scenes that it ran through. Now, once games get running, the fans do kick in, but like we said, in performance mode, they don't really seem all that loud. You can hear them, of course, but it never got to the point of sounding like a helicopter taking off. Now, you can kick it into turbo mode, and in this mode, you do get a bit of extra performance. It'll benchmark higher, so in the Tomb Raider benchmark it reaches 88 frames per second on average, and it scores higher in Cinebench as well. But it is worth noting that if you do kick it into turbo mode, the fan noise level does increase considerably. In fact, we didn't think it was worth putting up with for an extra few frames per second. On the complete opposite side of the scale, there is silent mode, and in this mode you can unplug the laptop and just use it for everyday tasks. This means virtually no fan noise whatsoever and longer battery life. Of course, you don't want to play any intensive games on this setting, but those times you want to use it as a normal everyday laptop, it's a setting worth having. It helps you get your work done quietly and ensures the battery doesn't drain quickly. In fact, using it to do work for an extended period, it wasn't too difficult to get it to last about 7 hours. In fact, more sometimes. And that's great for a gaming machine. Given our experience with the G14, we'd have no trouble recommending it to pretty much everyone. If you're looking for a relatively compact, powerful gaming laptop, the G14 is a great option. If you're looking for a great everyday machine that also handles any game you want to throw at it, it's great for that too. It's really versatile. Let me know what you think of the G14 in the comments down below. Don't forget, if you do like this video, please do leave a thumbs up, tap subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss any more. And I'll see you again in the next one. Bye for now.